Zyphor, Nightdrake, Astralane. The luminescence of Xylos was irritating. Not painful, not precisely, but a constant thrum against a consciousness accustomed to the velvet dark between galaxies. I Zyphor Astralane, though most knew me as Nightdrake, a moniker earned for my preference for compositions that mirrored the void, managed the Celestial Cadence studio. It wasn't a matter of ambition, you understand. It was observation. Xylos was a nexus of sonic creation, a place where beings poured their very essences into melodies and rhythms. I didn't need to create, I needed to understand why they did. My existence predated their concepts of art, of beauty. I simply listened, and I catalogued, but there was a growing dissonance, a hollowness in the popular sounds, a reliance on manufactured emotion. I craved something genuine. A lost chord, perhaps. That craving, that subtle ache, was my inciting incident. I needed to find the source of this artistic decay, or risk being swallowed by the meaningless noise. My pursuit led me down spiraling corridors of Xylos's underbelly, a labyrinth of forgotten studios and discarded instruments. Rumors spoke of the Silencer, a being who drained inspiration from artists, leaving them hollow husks. Most dismissed it as folklore. I didn't. I followed the trail of dwindling creativity, a sonic shadow leading me to a hidden concert hall. There, I found him not a monstrous figure, but a being of pure, shimmering silence, manipulating the very flow of inspiration with intricate, obsidian devices. He wasn't stealing creativity, he was filtering it, refining it into a palatable, predictable form for the masses. He called it artistic efficiency. He saw himself as a curator, not a destroyer. I attempted to reason with him, to explain the beauty of chaos, the necessity of unbridled expression. He merely smiled, a chillingly serene expression, and intensified the filtering process, drowning out my protests with a wave of bland, synthesized harmony. I knew then this wasn't a negotiation. It was a battle for the soul of Xylos's music. The climax wasn't a grand confrontation, but a subtle shift. I couldn't overpower him with force. His power stemmed from the willing acceptance of the masses. Instead, I did what I did best. I listened. I listened to the fractured remnants of genuine inspiration, the echoes of forgotten melodies trapped within his filtering devices. And then, I amplified them. Using my innate ability to manipulate sonic frequencies, I created a counter-resonance, a harmonic disruption that bypassed his filters and resonated directly within the hearts of the audience. It wasn't a glorious fanfare, but a subtle discord, a lingering note of melancholic beauty. At first, it was met with confusion, then unease. But slowly, tentatively, a new feeling began to emerge. Longing. A longing for something more, something real. The silencer, momentarily stunned, attempted to regain control, but the rising tide of genuine emotion was too strong. He seemed to dissolve, his form flickering like a dying ember. I believed I had won. The immediate aftermath was chaotic. A flood of unfiltered creativity erupted across Xylos, a cacophony of sound that threatened to overwhelm the planet. Artists, freed from the silencer's influence, struggled to control their newfound expression, producing works that were brilliant, terrifying, and often incomprehensible. It was exhilarating, but also deeply unsettling. I realized the silencer hadn't been destroying creativity, he had been containing it. He'd provided a framework, a structure. Now Xylos was adrift in a sea of unbridled expression, teetering on the brink of collapse. The masses, accustomed to the soothing predictability of filtered music, were overwhelmed, yearning for the comfort of the old order. The silencer's influence hadn't vanished. It had merely been displaced, manifesting as a collective longing for simplicity. I had unleashed chaos, and now I had to find a way to guide it. My solution wasn't to restore the old order, but to create a new one. I established the Astralane Resonance Collective, a sanctuary for artists to explore their unfiltered creativity, but within a framework of mindful expression. We focused on building bridges between chaos and structure, teaching artists to harness the power of their emotions without succumbing to their overwhelming force. It wasn't about control, but about balance. The collective became a beacon, attracting artists from across the galaxy, drawn to the promise of authentic expression. Xylos didn't return to its former state, but it evolved. It became a vibrant, unpredictable, and profoundly beautiful world, a testament to the power of genuine creativity. As for the silencer, I sensed him still out there, observing, but he no longer sought to control. He seemed incurious, perhaps even appreciative. The void, after all, understands both silence and song.